Let's talk about your first encounter with Death of a Salesman. What do you remember from that? What stayed with you?
Well, probably like you, or probably like most people, it was studying it in high school, where it just goes,
Yeah.
or it did for me, I'll say.
Kind of for the wrong age group.
Yeah. But it is taught, I think it's just taught in high school. So it really was that, so I've known the play and those characters since I was like 17.
You've talked about wanting to do this play with Nathan Lane for about 35 years.
Yeah.
What did you see in that younger actor that made you think he could carry the weight of Willy Loman and the play?
It was just a momentary thing. It was really a moment. We didn't sit down and have a discussion about it. He was certainly too young. I wasn't even really directing, as a career at that point. So I don't know what it was. It was, I guess, instinct and a wanting to continue a collaboration with someone who had been so kind and so trusting to me on what was essentially my first really big directing gig.
Which was Love, Valor,
Compassion, yeah.
And so it wasn't like seeing this like mid-30s guy and thinking, you're a Willy Loman. It wasn't that.
No, I don't recall it being that. I don't know. It was a premonition. I don't know. I don't believe in those things, but maybe. And when we finally looked at each other when we walked into the rehearsal room, we thought like, oh, okay, well, what did we imagine for ourselves?
Now that you're doing it, now that it's here, what were you right about? And what did he bring that you weren't expecting?
I mean, he's just the kind of actor that I love because he's like a Rolls Royce. He can do anything.
Yeah.
And the same with Laurie, and the three of us have a collaboration that goes back, many years. And the thing I know when Laurie or Nathan, or Laurie and Nathan in this case, are in the room is they really, they set the bar, and they set the bar high. And what you get with that is the benefit of everyone else in the room looking at them and going, oh, that's what we're gonna do? Okay, and so everybody is on their game because of that, and that's thrilling as a director, because everybody comes and brings their A game every single day, because that's what those two are doing.
You've worked with both of them a lot. You've worked with Laurie so many times I don't think I can count.
Yeah.
What is it that she catches in a line that other actors might miss?
She makes no assumptions about the part. She in fact finds these odd little crevices in the role or in the script and that attract her, and she thinks, oh, well, I'm gonna pursue that. And they're never the things that you think. Like, I think her Linda Loman is definitely recognizable as Linda Loman, but the things that she found interesting in the role were just things that I had never experienced before, or I had never really thought of before.
You really leaned into the time collapse of Willy Loman in this show. You didn't anchor it in a realistic way that some other productions do.
That's right.
Tell me about the early decisions you were making to do that.
Well, I think, when you do a revival, you think, well, how can we add to the conversation of this play that's been going on for a very long time? And there have been some excellent productions. My reading of the play, even from early on, was that it was very abstract and a kind of tough and merciless play. There was something about kind of trying to capture that experience of being inside of his head, and the way that the synapses are firing so that he can be in one place and a second later he's somewhere else. And for us, I think removing the architecture of the house allowed those changes to happen in kind of split-second transitions.
Let's talk about the removal of the house.
Yeah.
A lot of people will just expect to see a house if they're going to go see Death of a Salesman. You put the car as a central image. What do you think that image is carrying for the audience and for the actors?
Well, I think it's for a lot of people, for a lot of us, the car is such a sign of upward mobility, and when that car comes in, you sort of know a little bit about him right off the bat. And it's interesting. I have a friend who's an expert about cars, and we had purchased a car that we were going to use, And I showed it to my friend and said, "What do you think?" And he said, "That's not Willy Loman's car."
Oh, interesting.
He said, first of all, it needs to be a 4-door because
Right.
his
They have
bags
kids.
would be in the back.
Oh, and his bags, yeah, of course.
But then he broke it down and was talking about the grille in the front and the year that this happened and how this changed, and that he would have a kind of a much more conventional and practical car. And so we went out and bought a second car.
Tell me about working with the Loman sons, because you also made a great decision, which was to split up Biff and Happy into 4 actors instead of 2. That's something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Tell me about that decision.
As you're working on a production, or you know you're going to do something, or I do, you just read the script over and over and over again and looking for little kernels of information from the playwright. It really was this line where the younger version of Happy says, "I'm losing weight, Pop, did you notice?" And it just lodged itself in my brain, and I thought, who was that boy and how does he become that man? It really was that simple. And I started...
Did it unlock something for you?
It did, because I thought that boy isn't the adult that we've just seen in the bedroom scene. And so I imagined a kind of kid who sort of didn't have his brother's athleticism and glamour and even his physicality. And I thought, but then you see that he becomes a person where his currency is his sexuality. So I thought, oh, well, I wonder what it would be like to do it with younger versions of these characters. So we talked about that, and we decided, with the estate's permission, to pursue that. And around the same time, I got a draft of the script right before they went into rehearsal with the original production. And in the cast list, it actually says Willie, Linda, Biff, Happy, young Biff, young Happy.
So it came from Miller himself.
Yes, I don't know why they cut it or why they changed it, whether it was a financial reason or an artistic reason or some sort of creative conversation between Miller and Kazan. I don't know. But at least at one point, it was in his conception of the play. And the way in which he uses them in that draft opened up a lot of staging opportunities or ideas and inspirations for this production.
I have to talk about K. Todd Freeman and Michael Benjamin Washington, because they add a lot to the storytelling and a lot of layers for the audience.
Yeah.
So tell me about making that decision.
Yeah, there was just something about making that family, a black family, that I thought was an interesting element to add to this production. Because you think, like, K. Todd as Charlie is saying, he keeps offering him a job.
Right.
And there's this unspoken tension between them, and you think, what is that? Why? I mean, here it is. He's handing it to him on a plate.
He's giving him a way out, yeah.
He's saying, you can stay in New York. I'm going to give you this every week. What's the issue? And so for me, I thought, well, what if the issue is just race?
Right.
He just can't do it.
There's like an unbearable hope in this production, and I'm wondering what you think the play has to say about hope, and especially in America, especially now.
Well, interestingly enough, we talked about hope a lot, because the kind of the devastation and the violence of Willy Loman being erased, you get that for free. So what we were looking for were those moments where, and there's a wonderful moment, I think, that we found in rehearsal, and it comes towards the end of Act 1, where Happy says, I have a feasible idea. And he presents this kind of mad idea of them becoming partners, them becoming the Loman brothers. And you see this mania plant itself in that family. And for a minute, you see them all aligned in a way of like, yes, this is our way out. This is the thing. And then someone says the wrong thing and it shatters. And that moment every night just kills me, because you see that it could almost work, because there is such love there. But it is a family where to tell the truth means death. It's over. And so there's this effort to try to keep the fantasy alive.